Hey guys, Dr. Ben here, Functional Medicine Centers. Excited to talk to you today about kids. We love kids. We've got 4 boys. We've been through it. So if you guys are going through the kid stages, I know what it's like. Michelle knows what it's like. It is a big process getting them to eat healthy, getting them to do things consistently, and to really thrive in today's day and age where there's so many different things that are being thrown at them, all the way from school, church, everything in between is just candy, junk, candy, junk, candy, junk. Give me a thumbs up if you're like, really guys, you don't need to bribe my kids with any more candy. They can just be a good kid regardless. I mean, that's our biggest thing at this point is like, holy cow, kids are getting inundated everywhere. So go ahead and put down where you're watching from, how many kids you have going on, what troubles you got going on there as well. Hey Mary, good to see you. We've got people all over the country, all over the world, and a lot of you got kids, grandkids that you're dealing with. How do we get food into them? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. These are very specific hacks that we've used, that friends, family, other people that we know have used these very, very effectively to get their kids eating more vegetables, eating more foods that they should be eating, and not just, oh, chicken nuggets, mac and cheese. Give me a thumbs up if that's one of you guys out there where it's like, oh my gosh, if I just have to make one more tortilla and cheese in it, put maybe a little salsa on it, does that count as a vegetable? So, hey Andrea, 3.5-year-old. Yeah, so listen to these things. So here we go. What the statistics show is that if you've got a kid 1 to 2 years of age, they should be getting about 2 servings of vegetables a day. In the 2 to 4 range, you should be getting 2.5 servings. And in the 4 to 8, or even 4 up from there, you should be getting 4.5 servings of vegetables a day. So, it's something that we need and that we've got to get into our kids. But how do we do that? Well, the first thing I'm going to talk about, and I put a little link down below for a Ninja blender, and there's a lot of different ways to do this, but this one does a really good job of it, is where to actually puree some of the food. And I'm not talking about like baby food. I'm talking like a blender, any type of a device that is going to say, what happens when you put the spinach in there? Hey Marcy over in Kansas, great to see you. What happens when you put the spinach in, the kale in, any of these greens? It's going to blend it up. There we go. And I was made for my boys what we ate, no special meals. That's Lisa. I put pureed carrot and peas in my spaghetti sauce. Exactly. And so this is what we're talking about. Peas and carrots, yeah, okay. Not going to be the most nutrient-packed foods, but to get some kale, to get some Swiss chard, collard greens, spinach, any of these things, put it in that food processor, blender, whatever you have, puree it down to where it's just really, really fine, and then you put that into a spaghetti sauce. You put it into a chili. You put it into, if you're doing Thai food with some coconut milk, whatever it is, you put that in there, and the color might change a little bit, but that is going to be a great thing. Justine, we're going to talk about the smoothies there in a second. So puree those up and hide them in your dishes. And so even if you're making like some all natural, healthy, mac and cheese, it's still mac and cheese, but put some of these in there, and it's going to make a big difference. And so another thing is, find their favorite dishes and put some vegetables in there as well. So it doesn't have to be as pureed, but if they love mashed potatoes, here's something that we did for probably the first 6-8 years of the kid's life. We would boil the potatoes for Thanksgiving and make mashed potatoes. In the last couple minutes, I would put a whole head of kale on the top of the mashed potatoes in the water, and it would soften them, and then we would run that kale through the food processor with the potatoes and butter and whatever else we put in there, and we made mashed potatoes. But guess what color they were? They were green. And you know what? They were more moist than regular mashed potatoes, because the veggies have moisture in them. So guess what? When my kids, the first time they saw white mashed potatoes, they said, why are those mashed potatoes white? That's weird. True story. Getting those vegetables into some of their favorite dishes, and go, okay, you know what? You love this meal, you love chili, you love whatever it is. Well, I'm going to put some of these other things. You know what? And they may pick them out for a little while, chop them up a little bit finer, some of those things, but you've got to keep pushing. You got to keep trying some different things. Here's another good one, is that what you can do is actually use the vegetables as dips. So just think about it this way. Kids love broccoli. If big old Velveeta cheese is drizzled on it. So maybe, putting the cheese on isn't the best bet, but, what if you dip it into a hummus, dip it into, some type of a sauce or something that they like, and that's going to be a great way to do it. So instead of having chips on hand, you have vegetables on hand, and just make it a habit. And you're like, hey, you know what? We're all hungry. Let's grab a couple of these. Hey, Vicki in Oklahoma, great to see you. Let's grab a couple of these and dip into those veggies into there. The other thing, somebody else had already mentioned it, we're going to do some smoothies. And so the smoothies, yes, you can put a little pineapple, a little banana, a little berries, whatever, but go ahead and throw some spinach in there. Throw some other greens in there. It's going to change the color, and it's going to get a little bit funky looking, brownish, greenish, whatever. But, it's a great way to get some more vegetables in there, especially for people on the go. My kids are practicing. The 7th grader last night, he practiced from 3:30. He had 2 soccer practices in a row from 3:30 to 7. And so guess what? He ate dinner, and then before bed, we're like, you're going to make another smoothie, get some more calories in, get some more protein in. He probably burned 1,500 calories, 2,000 calories that day. So especially if you've got a kid that's active, that's doing practices, that's running around, it's okay to get them some extra calories coming in from those smoothies. So here's the other thing that you got to do is you got to try, and you got to try again and try again and try again. Kids go through cycles. Sometimes they'll love onions and then they hate onions. Sometimes they love mushrooms and then they hate mushrooms. But you got to keep trying different vegetables, keep putting them out there, and keep working with the kiddos. You can't just go, oh, they won't eat anything, it's back to mac and cheese. Don't go there. You've got to keep consistent, keep trying on there. You want to set a good example. Here we go. Yep, little oven roasted veggie mixes. Enjoyed eating veggies when they helped me garden. Yeah, and that's the other thing. So this is a really good thing. Set an example, and then we'll get to having the kids help out. So you want to set a good example. You want to look at that and go, you know what? I'm not necessarily fond of broccoli, but I'm going to eat broccoli, and I'm going to eat in front of them, and it's going to be this regular thing where we just do it. A lot of times adults get to that point and like, I don't like carrots, I'm not going to eat carrots, or whatever it is, but still, you've got to get to a point where your spouse, you guys have to do what you have to do to show the kids that, you know what, it's okay, even if you don't like something. And this is a great example for life, because give me a thumbs up, raise your hand, whatever you can do, if you've had to do things in your life that you did not like, that you were like, you know what, that just stinks. I don't like that part of the job. I don't like that part of the family. I don't like going to the in-laws. Whatever it is, there's things that we're going to have to do that we just don't like but are good for us. And this is one of those things. Most people, if they've trained for a half marathon or something like that, they really don't like running. That's not like, man, I just love running. I mean, there's a few of you, if there's some of you out there, a few of you wackos out there that just love running. But most people, it's like, hey, I know this is good for me. I'm going to get up and do it. Most people get up and go to the gym, not because they're like, man, that's just the best pump ever, but because like, I know this is good for my body. It kind of stinks, and yet we got to do it. So this is a great time to teach our kids those things. And then here's the other part. Lisa had said this too, where getting your children involved in raising the garden. I'll post a picture of our greenhouse. It's gone kind of crazy. We got the entire thing is covered in greens now, and tomatoes and all kinds of stuff. But getting them involved, and so if they're out there, they're planting and cooking and cutting and all these things, they're going to be more likely to eat those vegetables as well. So have your children involved in the cooking process is another great tip to get your kids eating these vegetables. They have some ownership to it. They've got this, man, I'm going to take care of this, as opposed to, oh, I'm just going to throw that away. And they're like, well, I just sat there and chopped up a bunch of these veggies or onions or whatever it is, and I'm going to at least try it. I'm going to eat at least a few and go from there. So get them involved in that process. I would much rather you clean up dinner and your kids help with dinner, even if it is going to be a little bit, it's going to take a little bit more time. You could sit there and chop stuff a whole lot faster. But if they're involved in that process, they're going to be able to eat those better. So again, a bunch of ideas here. If you guys have any other ideas and want to share it with people out there, go ahead and put those down below. If you're exasperated and you're like, I can't figure out what to do with my kids, pop that down below. And we've got tens of thousands of people all over the world that are jumping on the page, and they will give you some advice. A lot of parents out there. And so if you're struggling with it, we're here to help, but this is a huge part of it. It's our job to encourage our kids to be as healthy as possible. The last thing we want is them to grow up and have to start going through the same health issues that we're dealing with. So I see that all the time, that these parents go, man, if I would have only known this, I could have prevented so much before. I'm like, well, at least you can do that for your kids. So do this day in and day out. We posted a link down below, that Ninja food processor. It's a great place to go with that puree. We've used the Ninja products a bunch before in our house, and just run that, throw the kale in there, throw the spinach in there, run it through, and then dump that into whatever you're cooking. Even some eggs, saute that up first, and really, really fine so they can't pick it out. That's the biggest thing for me. It's like, ooh, there's this big pepper in there, I'm gonna pick it out. But if that pepper is totally pureed, not gonna have a problem there. Hey Pamela there in Kentucky, great to see you. They're only little for so long. Absolutely. Ours, it just seemed like yesterday we were running around chasing the little kids, and now the youngest is 9. So it goes fast. Enjoy them, teach them the good stuff. We're going to teach them enough bad stuff, so make sure you're focusing on the good things. Stay strong out there. Keep that immune system up, guys. You've got every potential inside of you to be healthy, to heal. You've just got to learn what to do. Stick with us. We've got lots of good information coming out this week as well, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.